this intolerance debate that you have spoken at length, now that Bihar elections are over and Modi government has lost there, so the debate has suddenly perhaps come to an end. So is it a vindication of your stand that perhaps there was political motive?
No, it's very clear that there was a political motive. My simple point was this, that there is no factual evidence. Anecdotes are not evidence. There is no factual evidence to suggest that intolerance, however defined, has increased after May 2014. No one will be able to demonstrate that. And so far as intolerance in the academic circuit is concerned, it has always existed, except that intolerance was being practiced by a certain left-wing kind of academic circuit, and that left-wing academic circuit, which has traditionally thrived on the basis of state patronage, government patronage, now seems to be unhappy because its monopoly on that patronage is in some sense being contested. So all I was arguing is this intolerance phenomenon, at least in the academic circuit, is not new at all, it has always existed. Book bans, for example. Books have been banned. As far as I know, almost no book has been banned. In fact, no book has been banned since this government came into power in May 2014. Most book bans were actually by the Congress government, and I mentioned one particular book, which is The Heart of India by Alexander Campbell, which was published in 1958. It had no pornography, it had no obscenity. The only reason it was banned was because it was critical of Jawaharlal Nehru and his brand of socialism. So I mentioned that. I mentioned Dr. Shenoy, who was part of a task force set up by the former Planning Commission in the course of the second 5-year plan. There were 22 economists in that, 21 of them endorsed the views that the government was pushing through the second 5-year plan document. Dr. Shenoy disagreed and he produced a minute of dissent. He was ostracized and he was never given a job anywhere in India, so he eventually had to look for a job in Ceylon, Sri Lanka. That's the second instance. The third instance I may mention was Jagdish Bhagwati's life was made very, very difficult when he was here at the Delhi School of Economics. And Jagdish Bhagwati thereafter, as everyone knows, Jagdish Bhagwati and Padma Desai, they both went off abroad.
So what was the reason that the government, that forced him to move out of India?
Because Jagdish Bhagwati, well, technically again you should ask Jagdish Bhagwati that, but the fact remains that while he was at the Delhi School of Economics, the Delhi School of Economics at that particular point in time had a lot of left-leaning economists, and the left-leaning economists generally made life very difficult for him. There are a lot of Bengalis who are economists, there are a lot of economists who are Bengalis, and most of them will tell you stories, including I, of how it became impossible to find a job in West Bengal under the left-front government.
So it becomes a bit interesting. You mentioned Bengal, so can you just elaborate on that?
Well, I couldn't get a job in West Bengal.
Because of a particular ideology.
Because of a particular ideology. So then I was essentially told that you are not going to get a job here. Had I got a job there, I would have still been in West Bengal. Presumably, I don't know whether it would have been good for me or bad for me, probably bad for me. But I was forced to look for a job and I eventually went off to Pune. So a lot of people of that particular generation, not just in economics, there's a massive story of human capital flight